Before we begin today's episode, I'd like to make some quick shoutouts. Thank you, Danikatsi, Amici, Imiicie, Lanfear the Fangirl, Bootri, Jirasambun, and Yuyuki789 for your love and support for this podcast. It means a lot to us. Now, without further ado, warning, the following podcast contains massive spoilers. If you haven't seen Avatar The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra yet, and don't mind spoilers, hopefully this podcast will inspire you to watch along with us. Now let's begin.
Welcome to Beyond Bending,
a show about a bunch of millennials analyzing an animated kids show.
I'm your host, Eddy Naputi, and he's back. We have here...
Brian Suhkram.
Yep.
Can you tell them why I'm not doing this?
Yeah, so the reason why I am hosting and not Marilyn today is because Marilyn tried twice already, 2 weeks worth of time.
4 hours. 4 hours talking about this one episode.
4 hours recording to try to get this done. We are on the third week and we had audio technical difficulties. So the first time it was supposed to be with their Santa Cruz friend, Alyssa Baguette. Anyways,
thank you, Brian.
The second...
I told you. I'll get it.
Alyssa Bajent. They're doing a Skype call, and halfway through, it stopped recording. So that failed. The second time, she tried to do it with Joanna's younger brother, Josh Ordonez, and that didn't work out. So here we are. Yeah, so Marilyn feels she's cursed. She doesn't want to do it.
The spirit world hates me.
Yep, spirit world hates her. So we have Brian back, back to back, and we have me from episode 5. So funny thing is though, Brian did his episode 3 months ago.
Yeah.
So to us, it's been a while since you recorded, but to the fans, it's just the next episode. So I was listening to it and you were talking about how you'll be back and you'll find an episode to do. Well, this is the episode, so...
Surprise!
Thank you, Brian, for coming. Emergency backup.
Of course.
But again, yeah, shout out to Alyssa Bajent and Josh Ordonez for trying to do this. I know they're going to be back, so I know they have a lot to say. I think Alyssa's going to be after us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's good.
Throughout the episode, we'll be bringing up Alyssa and Josh's points so that their opinions can also be heard.
Today's episode, we're going to be doing episode 7, The Spirit World, Winter Solstice, Part 1. Please bear with me. I'm going to be reading Marilyn's recaps that she wrote, so I was supposed to read it beforehand and practice it, but I tried yesterday and I literally read the first line. I was like, if it's going to be like this, then I need to read this in the podcast, like have a reaction in the podcast. So this is the first sentence. The episode starts out with the gang, and gang is spelled Gaang,
Come on, Eddy.
flying on Appa.
All the fandoms do it like that.
The episode starts out with the gang flying on Appa. Katara tells Aang and Sokka how the clouds below them look like huge cotton balls that you can just jump on. Aang's like, challenge accepted, and jumps off Appa into the clouds. Katara and Sokka watch as Aang eagle spreads into the clouds and disappears. Aang airbends back up on his glider and plops down on Appa's saddle, soaking wet. He tells the gang that it says gang with 2 A's the whole time.
Yes, it's a thing.
He tells the gang that clouds are just made out of water and airbends himself dry. But things get serious when Katara spots something up ahead. As the clouds pass by them, they get a better view from down below. They see a huge dark patch in the middle of the forest. Sokka says it looks like a scar. Like, is that foreshadowing anything? Like the scar? I couldn't tie that into the episode at all.
I didn't see anything.
Alright, anyways, the gang lands and we see that the scar is actually a part of the forest that's been burned down. Sokka notices how quiet it is and how there's no signs of life anywhere. Katara asks Aang if he's okay, but right when she does this, Sokka spots Fire Nation tracks and starts yelling out loud. Katara tells him to cut it out and points at Aang. The camera cuts to Aang falling to his knees. Why would anyone do this? How could I let this happen? Aang says. Katara reassures Aang that it's not his fault, but Aang disagrees. He tells her how it's the Avatar's job to protect nature and that he doesn't even know how to do that. Katara tells Aang that they'll find him a waterbending teacher in the North Pole, but Aang says he needs an Avatar teacher, not a waterbending teacher. We cut to Prince Zuko searching for Uncle Iroh. He finds Uncle Iroh lounging in some hot springs, and Uncle Iroh, being the gentleman that he is, tells Prince Zuko to join him. Zuko rejects the offer and tells Uncle Iroh to hurry up because he doesn't want to lose the Avatar's trail. Uncle Iroh's like, alright, and gets up butt naked. Right when he does this, the camera cuts to where Zuko's hand is perfectly covering up Uncle Iroh's private parts. He tells Uncle Iroh that he can stay in the hot tub for a little while longer, but to meet him back at the ship in 30 minutes or else he's gonna leave without him. Uncle Iroh's like, alright, and sinks back into his hot tub.
First of all, you're doing the we cut wrong. We cut.
Huh?
Have you even been listening to the podcast? That's like a trademark thing. We cut to this. Hello.
No, you should do the next recap.
Yeah, you read the next recap.
Yes.
Fuck you, Brian.
Okay, so Sokka is just really sarcastic.
Throughout the whole episode, too.
Yeah, but I mean, we start off right off the bat, sarcastic Sokka, you know. And then Aang just jumps off Appa so casually and just being reckless. Usual Aang.
I don't remember what Sokka says. Oh, yeah. He was like, Katara was saying how it feels like she can jump into Gon Candy. And he's like, maybe you should jump.
Anyway, Aang just like jumps off of Appa so casually, just being reckless, per usual.
Yeah, I mean, he's still like a 112-year-old kid.
That's true.
So, I guess what I wanted to bring up is the intro music. That's exactly how I tried to do our intro. Like, if you go back and listen to it, like that slow of pace, the dun, 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 like that's, I don't know. I just wish our intro was that. Can we just copy and paste that for our intro?
Pretty sure you can't do that.
We need to get that finger instrument. That's what they do it on.
Oh, the thumb piano? That's sick. Also, if any kids didn't know that, clouds are made of water. So go Aang for that science fact.
Good job, Avatar, being educational.
Boom. Shout out Nickelodeon.
One thing is just showing how Uncle Iroh is so like laid back, very casual. I feel like this beginning is just reinforcing everyone's characters. The first time you see all the recurring characters, they're all just being the same way they always are. And it's like a reminder, like, oh hey, in case you forgot, Zuko's angsty. In case you forgot, Iroh's like super chill all the time.
That is true. Yeah, I mean, it is like a kid's show, so they need to keep reminding the audience because they're kids, or we were kids watching it. So, yeah, that is pretty smart to do for a kid's show. Oh, did the art style seem different to you guys in this episode? I don't know. It looked like somebody else drew it. Like, it looked different from the previous episodes.
I'm really bad at noticing these kinds of things.
Oh.
When I was talking with Josh about it, he went into detail, so I can't.
Oh. Yeah, I know Josh watches a lot of anime, though. One thing I wanted to bring up, before we were recording, we rewatched the episode, and we paused it like 7 minutes in, and you're like, holy shit, we're already 7 minutes into the episode. It was so weird, like, in the span of 5 minutes, I think I saw 4 or 5 mood changes. So you have, like, the peaceful cloud scene, and that music, and then it just jump cuts to Aang, like, jumping off Appa, and then it's all happy music, and then they see the scar, and then Sokka's like angry, and then Aang's sad. So the mood just kept flipping or going back and forth in just 5 minutes into the episode. So in Marilyn's notes, is Sokka like really good at hunting to the point where he knows what Fire Nation tracks look like?
Oh.
Because you see the rhino serpent footprints, so like is that a dead giveaway?
I feel like because they're the only ones who use those animals. Like every nation kind of has their own animals in the areas.
That makes sense.
Because if you look at it, like, because the flying bison is so characteristic of an airbender. For air nomads, it's the bison and the lemur. For the Fire Nation, like, as we see later in the episode, Avatar Roku's animal companion was a dragon. And then later in the series, you see, like, Zuko train with a dragon and all that stuff. So, like, dragons are...
It's fire.
Yeah, but then there's also, like, other little species that are kind of characteristic to their nation. So maybe he's able to connect that. So it's kind of funny how, like, Sokka referred to the Fire Nation as, like, evil savages, and in the previous episode, the warden refers to, like, earthbending as, like, savage bending, brutish savagery or whatever.
Yeah. And that ties into what Marilyn brought up in her notes, that it's kind of like Pocahontas, like Disney's Pocahontas. Where they're savages, barely even human. And then, like, they both had verses of the same song talking about how the other is a savage.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. All right, Brian, now it's your turn to do the recap. We'll keep switching off.
And we're back. So, we cut to the gang. Katara cheers up Aang by throwing an acorn at his head. Ow, how is that supposed to cheer me up? Sokka laughs and says it sure cheered him up, and Katara throws an acorn at his head too. She tells Aang that these acorns are scattered everywhere, which means that eventually the forest will grow back, and all the creatures that used to be there will soon return. She places an acorn in Aang's hand and closes it. Aang smiles and thanks her. But wait, an old man with a cane approaches them. Sokka asks the man who he is, and the old man just straight up ignores Sokka. He walks straight towards Aang and tells him how he spotted his flying bison and starts observing Aang's tattoos. He asks Aang if he's the Avatar, and after looking at Katara for approval, Aang nods his head. The old man tells the gang that his village needs help. We cut to a bird's eye view of the old man walking the gang through his village. We see that some parts of the village are completely destroyed. The old man introduces the gang to the leader of the...
Lord Jesus.
All right, I got a better one. The old man introduces the gang.
The gang.
The old man introduces the gang to the leader of the village. The leader is happy that the rumors of the Avatar returning are true and tells Aang that it is an honor to meet him. Aang smiles and asks what can he do to help. The leader isn't sure how to answer, but the old man barges in and he's like, the Avatar is the answer. He's our only hope. Like, geez, old man, calm down. But we understand why the old man is freaking out so much. He tells the gang that for the last few days, after sunset, the spirit monster comes and attacks the village. And it is in this moment when we learn the name of the black and white spirit's name, hei-bai. Sokka asks why the spirit is attacking them, and the leader says he doesn't know, but every time hei-bai attacks, he abducts a member of the village. He goes on by telling Aang that he's worried because the winter solstice is almost here, and when that happens, the natural world and the spirit worlds grow closer and closer until the line between them are blurred completely. Who knows what will happen when that time comes? Aang's confused and he's like, what do you want me to do exactly? And the old man's like, you are the great bridge between man and spirits. What about women? And Aang's like, right. Katara pulls Aang aside and she says, you seem a little unsure about this. And Aang is like, da doy.
Does it say that?
Yeah. Swear.
Point to you. Da doy.
Da doy.
Marilyn.
Can I narrate more often? This is fun.
Okay, so...
Can we popcorn the narrator?
What were you saying?
So I basically recap like I'm saying it out loud. So you're technically reading my personality.
Da doy.
Da doy. Katara and Sokka stare at him in disbelief, and Aang gets mad. It's not like there was someone to teach me this stuff, Aang yells out. Katara asks if he is going to help, and Aang says that he'll try. Sokka's like, great, we're all gonna die. LMAO.
God, man.
I don't really know how to...
You're supposed to laugh your ass off.
Back to Uncle Iroh, who fell asleep in the hot springs. He wakes up after hearing a noise, but realizes that it's just a meadow vole. And I had to look this up. A meadow vole is actually a thing. It's a real animal, and not an Avatar made-up animal. Which is weird and rare, because the show doesn't use real animals, or if they do, it's like combined with another animal. Anyways, Uncle Iroh realized that he missed Zuko's deadline, but he's like, worth it!
When you say it out loud, it sounds so late.
I fucking love this. Can I please do this again? The meadow vole starts freaking out and we see a rumble up ahead. All of a sudden, 3 simultaneous landslides attack Uncle Iroh and Earth Kingdom soldiers pop out and surround him. One of the soldiers grabs Uncle Iroh's clothes and says that he's a Fire Navy soldier. The captain tells him that he's no ordinary soldier, but the Fire Lord's brother, the Dragon of the West. Dun dun dun! So, Katara has a very good arm. She's very accurate. maybe Anthony Lynn should sign her.
Wow.
Maybe the Chargers.
Maybe the Giants.
Maybe the Rams need a new quarterback.
Ooh.
Anyways,
Sorry.
back to the show. No football.
I mean, so the acorns reminded me of was when I was little, me and the neighborhood kids would play Pine Cone Wars. And there were 2 giant tree trunks that fell over. So I guess just giant ass logs. And we would get on each side of them. They're like 20, 30 feet apart. So we'd grab the pine cones and chuck it at each other to try to get them in the eye. I lived on base with military kids.
So you're a fire Navy soldier.
It was kill or get killed.
Marilyn has here, I love Katara so much. She's so awesome. Her and Aang are really perfect for each other. Like the acorn thing, and then the old man was asking Aang if he's the Avatar. You seeing Aang looking at Katara for approval before answering. And I just think that's so cute.
Yas, looks for approval.
Yep.
I guess going back to Katara, I feel like it's every episode. Katara's doing her motherly stuff. Like, she always keeps the gang up with high hopes. I don't know, without her, it would just be pretty depressing. She brings confidence and hope to the gang.
It's a thing.
It's funny that you bring that up because I feel like later on in the episode, she's very uncharacteristic in some of her actions.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Oh, also, fun fact, hei-bai. I googled that. In Mandarin, it means black and white.
So Marilyn has here, so the old man doesn't even have a name. In the credits, he's listed as Old Wanderer, and the name of the leader is just Leader. Like, why didn't they do that for Oyaji? Oyaji was the only man in Kyoshi Island that had lines. Like, they don't even say his name in the whole episode, but list him as Oyaji in the credits. Like, why would you do that? Give Oyaji a name, but not Old Wanderer? Or Handsome Squidward? They just credit him as Leader. Handsome Squidward, I did notice that in the episode he had very distinct...
That jaw, yeah.
Yeah, very distinct jawline. But he was like the only one. So funny, when we were watching the episode, I kind of made a gesture about how the Old Wanderer immediately recognized Aang. And Marilyn just started laughing because of all my comments in the last episode about how nobody could recognize that the Avatar was in their presence with his tattoos and...
An obvious airbender.
Obvious airbending skills.
Saw your bison flying. So anyways, you're the Avatar, aren't you?
Oh hey, no big deal. You saw the only flying bison in the world.
Yeah.
You're the Avatar, huh?
Also, I think it's really weird. Okay, so the first soldier recognizes his Fire Nation clothing, but the captain recognizes Iroh's naked butt. So it's like, is there like a...
He saw the face.
True.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't...
He's like, I've seen that ass. I've seen that ass before.
I remember that ass when I was leaving.
I'm pretty sure they had posters. Like, we knew what Hitler looked like without actually seeing it.
I know what Hitler's ass looked like.
Yeah, you're right.
It wasn't in your history books?
Iroh is not Hitler, though, for sure. I apologize, Iroh.
Sorry, Uncle Iroh.
Dude.
We don't mean it. We love you. You're my favorite character.
I think he was just that high of a general where people knew what his face looked like. And we're back to the village. Aang walks towards the entrance of the town and randomly says things out loud to try to appeal to the spirit while Sokka and Katara are watching from a distance. Sokka tells Katara how Aang shouldn't have to be alone while they cower and wait for the monster to show up.
The old man tries to reassure him that the Avatar will save the day. The sun sets and Aang calls out for hei-bai, but nothing happens. Aang does like his own weird little exorcism / blessing over the town and thinks he's solved the problem. But all of a sudden, hei-bai appears.
And he's just shadowing Aang as Aang walks down the village, and it's beyond creepy. Aang finally realizes that the spirit is behind him, turns around and tries to introduce himself, but then hei-bai blasts this huge light beam at him. That doesn't hurt him, by the way, ? And continues to wreak havoc all over the village. Aang tries to reason with hei-bai, but it doesn't work. Hei-bai smacks Aang across the village, and Sokka's like, fuck this shit, and runs outside. That's a homie.
He throws his boomerang at hei-bai's butt, but it just goes boink and doesn't do anything. Aang tells Sokka to go back inside, but Sokka says that they'll fight hei-bai together. Aang doesn't want to fight the spirit unless he...
But before he can finish his sentence, Hei-bai grabs Sokka and starts running into the forest. Aang tries to chase after him and Katara is freaking out. We cut to Zuko trying to find Uncle Iroh. He goes back to the hot springs with his men but finds that Uncle Iroh is gone. Zuko notices the weird landslides in the center of the hot springs and realizes that Uncle Iroh was taken by earthbenders. We cut back to Aang, still chasing after Hei-bai and Sokka. Sokka's freaking out the whole time while Aang chases Hei-bai all the way to the scorched part of the forest. Right when Aang grabs Sokka's hand, Hei-bai and Sokka disappears and Aang falls off his glider and crashes into the earth. He should have died.
He should have died. After dodging death once again, he lands right next to a bear-shaped statue. Aang wakes up and realizes that he failed. We cut back to the earthbenders riding on ostrich horses? Chocobos. We're just going to call them chocobos. They're chocobos. So they got ostrich horses, but they didn't bother to do anything with the meadow vole?
It's an actual thing.
It's a meadow vole.
Yeah, it exists
Google
in
it.
our world. They don't do anything to a meadow vole, but there's ostrich horses.
There's a bear, just a bear in
Marilyn
Ba
is
Sing
very
Se.
triggered about the whole meadow vole thing.
There's a bear in Ba Sing Se.
Oi Yaji, an old wanderer.
So this is the I'm Triggered episode, in case you guys weren't aware.
She's been rolling her eyes this whole time
She's been shaking her head a lot.
because she has to edit this whole thing.
Uncle Iroh asks the earthbenders where they're taking him, and they tell him that where they're going, Uncle Iroh once laid siege to it for 600 days. Ah, Ba Sing Se, Uncle Iroh says.
Did I get?
That's my Uncle Iroh, not good?
Ba Sing Se.
No good? No? The earthbender captain continues to rub in how he failed at capturing Ba Sing Se. And Uncle Iroh acknowledges that his defeat and says that after 600 days, his men were tired and that he was tired, and starts to yawn and falls asleep and falls off the chocobo.
Oh, what?
Chocobo.
What's
Google
that?
it.
They're a bird from the Final Fantasy games. It's like a yellow bird. They're really fast. They look like ostriches. He starts to yawn and falls asleep and falls off the ostrich horse. The earthbenders pick him back up and Uncle Iroh looks over his shoulder and sees that he dropped his sandal on the ground and smirks.
That smirk, though. So let's look at what Marilyn says. Oh man, she loves this episode because you see little hints of why Uncle Iroh was named Dragon of the West. He's so smooth and sharp.
Quick question. If Uncle Iroh advertised for Old Spice, would you buy it?
Hell yeah. And this is pre-prison Iroh. I would do it. Like post-prison Iroh, that's for sure. This one's a hell yeah.
Follow-up question. Who would you rather give you advice in your life? Uncle Iroh or Morgan Freeman?
God or Aku? I would go for Morgan Freeman. No.
You said your answer, man.
No, it's advice from Iroh. Morgan Freeman is going to narrate my life.
Okay. So earlier how I was saying Katara is usually the level-headed one, the responsible one. This seems very uncharacteristic of her. Sokka was just like, we should be out there helping him. She even noticed that Aang doesn't really have a lot of confidence in himself about this. And she's still like, oh, no, he's got it. Don't worry. That doesn't seem like a very Katara thing to do.
No, but I used to have nightmares from Hei-bai.
That thing was really creepy.
It was so fucking creepy. Like, the creepiest one for sure is the face stealer.
Yeah.
But then Hei-bai is right there. Like, him walking behind Aang and Aang not noticing that tension. What is it? What kind of irony is it?
Dramatic irony.
Dramatic irony. Like, that gets me in horror films more than jump scares.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it follows the whole movie. It's dramatic irony. And that's how I felt like in this episode. Like, dude, if Hei-bai was walking behind me, I would say Hei-bai to my bowels.
Another thing is, like, this is the first time in the show we're seeing something so scary. Like, this is the most intimidating thing. I guess in the Kyoshi episode when he's with the Unagi.
Yeah, the Unagi.
I guess that's the next closest thing, but like this is on like a whole nother level.
Oh yeah, this was fucking crazy.
That was scary, but like this is like
dun, 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 dun. No, but actually in my notes,
it does look like a hypno.
Dude, look at my notes. Hei-bai equals hypno and Cloverfield monster. Legit though, he takes not kids in this case, but takes kidnaps men and brings them into the forest. Like that's what Hypno did in Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like he would lure them into the forest and he uses like psychic powers, like the spirit world.
Do you think Hypno was inspired Hei-bai?
Actually, no, I think Hypno, there's actually like a monster
Oh.
that is Hypno.
I just want to mention, like, the laser beam. He uses it on Aang. Nothing happens. It doesn't phase him. And then he turns and uses it on a building and it disintegrates.
Yeah.
So, Josh and I were talking about it, or we, like, both realized that Aang is, like, immune to spirit powers. And then it's reversed when he goes into the spirit world. He can't use his powers.
I like that reason.
I think it just has to do with their connection to the spirit world and just like the crossing of the worlds, the energy produced from the crossing of the worlds, I guess.
He wouldn't be able to hit Uncle Iroh.
I was gonna bring it up.
Oops.
Dick.
We're not there yet, though.
I know. I was waiting for it.
Oh, alright. Cut that one out.
Okay, anyways.
So Marilyn thinks she's a dumb kid.
Wow.
She did not see the foreshadowing. I'm just reading. I was such a dumb kid. I did not see the foreshadowing of hei-bai at all with the bear statue.
Alyssa also really got mad that I kept calling it a bear thing, but it's legit like the skinniest panda statue. Like, it looks like a bear.
I mean, you don't get like a super good look at the statue, but pandas, like, because they have the off-pattern fur coloring, like, it's noticeable. So I feel like if you're making a statue for it, you would
It's
at
hard to
least-
notice.
you would point it out. So I feel like we can just say that this is a bear statue. And it was kind of creepy because it was like the whole forest burned down, but the statue was still there,
Yeah.
as well as like the little statues on the side.
Wait, there were little statues on the side?
Yeah, so there was like little statues that kind of made a circle around the bear hei-bai statue. How come the gang didn't see it earlier? Like, there's literally nothing. All the trees were burned down. Like, it should have popped up, you know?
It blended in, just like poles of black.
But then, like, poles of black and then, like, a circle of little black burnt down poles around it. Like, that's... It was the daytime when they were in the scar, so they should have seen it.
The old wanderer. Saw your bison. I'm gonna put this out there. I think you're the avatar. Also, shout out to giant pandas who are no longer endangered. But yeah, in this episode, we actually learn that Uncle Iroh laid siege, or was the one that laid siege to Ba Sing Se for 2 years, or roughly 600 days. It's so weird to think about, like, how laid back and chill this guy is, this uncle, and then you realize, yep, he was a general, and he probably killed people and everything like that.
Marilyn wanted me to talk about how Alyssa and this person I've never met before, were talking about how there's a connection between, like, how the wall around Ba Sing Se is kind of like the Great Wall of China, where there's probably, like, hundreds of dead bodies on each side from people trying to, like, get over it and conquer it, and how Uncle Iroh, who throughout the entire show we see as this nice, calm, wise uncle, was a general who's probably killed hundreds of people.
Thousands, maybe.
Thousands, probably.
It's crazy.
But it's kind of weird because, like, this is the first time we're seeing Uncle Iroh in, like, a negative light.
Yeah, like, even that creepy smirk that he does, dude, like, that's evil. So Marilyn wanted to bring up a Doctor Who reference, so I'm just gonna read it, because unfortunately, sorry fans, but I don't watch Doctor Who. But hopefully you guys get... Wait, Brian, it sounds like you know it, so please go ahead.
I was just trying to make myself look good. I actually don't watch Doctor Who either.
What the Okay. So Marilyn says that she can totally sympathize with Sokka and how he wants to do something.
Like, I get that he has to have faith in Aang, but, like, fuck that shit. LOL.
It reminds me of that Doctor Who episode where they're trapped. It reminds Marilyn of the Doctor Who episode where they're trapped in a weird hotel and Amy Pond. In a weird hotel and Amy Pond and how she has too much faith in Doctor Who. What? Marilyn, what are you trying to say?
See, we don't really get this because we don't watch Doctor Who, but let's just read it as it is.
Okay.
They're trapped in a weird hotel in Amy Pond and how she has too much faith in Doctor Who, and that's what led to their downfall?
But, like, yeah, I would totally be in Sokka's shoes in this scenario because I hate feeling helpless in a situation where people's lives are at stake. I mean, I don't agree with that, because the smart thing to do was for Sokka to just sit back and let Aang do his thing.
No, I would definitely die. That's why I brought it up. If I was Sokka in this situation, I would definitely get kidnapped.
You should have died. But yeah, like, it's that whole thing where if somebody's in jeopardy and there's a bunch of people crowding around, like, trying to help, there can be too many people, especially if you're not qualified.
Yeah.
I don't know if you felt this way in the hospital, but when a patient comes in and their, significant other thinks they know more than someone whose job it is to save this person's life. I see your face, Brian, so...
I'm just gonna not talk about work.
Oh, okay. For those of you that didn't watch the previous episode, Brian is...
A Chansey,
a nurse assistant going to school to be Nurse Joy. But right now, he's just a Chansey. But yeah, that's me. Like, all it did was it got Sokka kidnapped.
Yeah, like, him trying to go out there and help, it just made him a burden in the fight. And, like, he kind of needed to recognize that he was outmatched in this thing. Hei-bai is like, 5 times his size. He grabs him and he fits into his hand. Like, and everyone can see all the destruction he's caused and how he should have killed Aang, but
should have died.
He still runs out there and throws his little boomerang to go boop.
What makes it worse is it really feels like they were forcing... What is it? We're just, like, trying to move the plot. Like, he was all part of the plot.
Yeah.
If he didn't get kidnapped, then Aang wouldn't have went into the spirit world.
They kind of, like, bent his character a little bit so that he could fit into...
Marilyn's looking at us in disagreement, but she's not in this episode, so... Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. What were you going to say, Marilyn?
Well, in the second episode, it's because he's hyper vigilant. Like, he thinks he could take on a whole fire navy Zuko's troops. And he stands, like, in front of the ship and thinks that's gonna stop it. He's instinctive. He doesn't think about what he's gonna do, usually.
Yeah, so it is in his nature to be stupid.
In the earlier episodes, it's kind of like you've seen him do hyper vigilant things. And he's been successful sometimes, which still blows my mind. You guys know what I'm talking about in the last episode. How did he break those spears, man? I don't get it.
He's magic, dude. He's a spear bender.
He's a spirit bender.
But we don't talk about bending on this podcast.
No, this is beyond bending.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
We don't talk about bending in here.
So this is a segment where we ask why firebenders are cheaters.
This is the worst episode for me to kind of do the firebenders are cheaters because there's minimal firebending in this episode. Yeah. I'll bring it up later. No, I'm going to bring it up later, actually. Yeah. But where it is very important.
But not too much. Joanna might come down and yell at us. Back to the village. Katara is waiting at the gates and the old man reassures Katara that everything will be okay. Aang walks up to Katara and tells her that he lost Sokka.
He tries to get the attention of the old man and Katara, but nothing happens. Aang holds up his hand to the sunlight and realizes that he's in the spirit world. We cut to Prince Zuko searching for Uncle Iroh. He finds Uncle Iroh's sandal on the floor, picks it up and sniffs, and is like, yep, that's him.
Ugh.
Rule number 1, don't
pick up somebody's sandal.
You don't directly...
Wafting.
The scientist moment here, you never pick up and directly sniff. You need to waft it in so you don't get a full concentration. You get a more diluted version so you can identify the smell, but you don't get the full stench.
So you can smell cocaine without actually sniffing it.
No.
So they can't see you nodding your head yet.
Alright, anyways. We cut back to Aang, just chilling, sitting next to Katara that's asleep. It's not very useful, Aang.
Whoa, wait, hold on. It literally says we cut back to Aang just chilling, sitting next to Katara that's asleep. He's like monologuing and telling Katara that he'll find a way to save Sokka, but obviously she doesn't hear him.
Obviously, Aang, come on.
Appa walks over to comfort Katara and Aang realizes that Appa can't see him either. Katara and Appa end up heading back to the village and Aang is frustrated. He yells out for Avatar Roku, and right when he does this, he sees a dragon full-on flying towards him. Aang tries to fly away but realizes that he can't airbend in the spirit world. The dragon stops in front of Aang and Aang asks the dragon if he's seen Sokka. Then the dragon touches Aang's forehead with his whisker and Aang has a vision of Avatar Roku flying on the dragon.
You're Avatar Roku's animal guide, like Appa is to me, Aang says. He tells Roku's dragon that he needs to save his friend and that he needs to talk to Roku. The dragon lets Aang hop on him and they fly off. We cut to Uncle Iroh, still on the ostrich chocobo, with the earthbenders, and it is in this moment where Uncle Iroh sees Aang and Roku's dragon fly past him. He starts freaking out but calms back down and tells the earthbenders to tighten his shackles. The earthbenders are like, the fuck? But then agrees to do so. Uncle Iroh heats the shackles with steam? Question mark, question mark. How does that work? How does that work?
Interesting.
You would think like these firebenders are just...
What's that word where you're not... When you're not playing by the rules? Something
tip
like
of my tongue.
It's at the tip of my New England.
Firebenders are patriots. Cheaters.
Anyway, no football.
Firebenders are patriots.
No football.
Anyways, the earthbender gets burned and Uncle Iroh makes a run for it. We cut back to Aang riding on Avatar Roku's dragon.
They are flying to Volcano Island in that... They are flying... they are flying to a volcano island that is a fire
start
temple.
over.
You read it.
What? Where is... Then paraphrase.
Here.
Just read
Start
it real
there.
quick.
They are. Read it out loud. Read it out loud, Marilyn.
Read it out loud.
Okay.
I'll read it.
I see my type.
Keep this in here. They are flying to a volcano island. In that island is a fire temple. The dragon takes Aang inside and shoots straight up to the roof. Aang starts freaking out, but they just phase right through the floor. They enter a room with the statue of Roku. Roku's dragon touches Aang again with his whisker, and Aang is confused. He wants me to talk about a comet?
Aang asks when he can talk to Roku, and the dragon touches him again. Show me on the doll where the dragon touched you, Aang.
On the forehead.
We get a montage of the light in the room inching closer to Avatar Roku's state with each passing day. Aang figures out that he can talk to Roku on the Solstice, but he tells the dragon that can't wait that long because he still needs to save Sokka. The two fly away. We cut to Uncle Iroh rolling down a hill trying to escape.
Still rolling. It started with him rolling. That whole scene of him seeing Roku and all that shit. He's still rolling down the hill.
We cut to Uncle Iroh rolling down a hill trying to escape. The earthbenders stop him in his tracks and decide that Uncle Iroh is too dangerous. Meanwhile, Katara and Appa are flying around trying to find Aang and Sokka. They decide to head back to the village, and as they are flying back, Prince Zuko spots them in the sky. He instinctively turns around but stops and stares at the ostrich horse tracks and contemplates what to do. One thing that I forgot to mention earlier, I hate to keep bringing back up my episode, so if you're listening to this, make sure you listen to my episode first so that you'll understand what I'm referencing. But apparently everybody in the Fire Nation that doesn't have a name is just really dumb because Zuko's soldiers were like, was it a landslide? When it was clearly like 3 spikes.
When there's earth bending in your world, like, you immediately think landslide.
You know what it is? It's because firebenders are not used to seeing their material after bending because fire just disappears because they're cheating.
Tom Brady.
Anyways.
Marilyn wanted to bring out Katara's so cute and loyal. OMG.
OMG.
She's like waiting at the gates for them and she's holding Sokka's boomerang. Fucking love Katara. If she made a cult, I would join it.
If Katara made a cult and Kendrick and Haru's dad.
And I just really hope that the cult would say stalagmites.
Yeah.
All the time.
Stalagmite cult.
I'm sorry.
Stalagmites. But yeah, it's kind of cute and loyal how she's just sitting there waiting at the gates so that the second that they make it back, she'll be there.
Yeah, like, again, that mother figure where she's waiting for her kids to come home.
But, like, at the same time, she sent her kids off to do something that was way out of their league.
I mean, if your kid was an avatar.
Anyways, she also wanted to bring up how Appa can't see Aang even if he's in the spirit world. Aren't they supposed to be, like, connected and shit?
That is true.
That's why Appa is just his animal companion, not his spirit companion.
Because it's Momo.
Sorry, yeah, you're just the side bae, Appa. Momo is the main bae.
I know you guys brought that up in your episode, and I swear I saw something online where somebody said that Momo, like he's a descendant of that lemur spirit that the very first Avatar had as his companion. So it just trickled down, and now in this life, Momo is the lemur. So that could be true.
Marilyn also wanted to bring up, so Uncle Iroh can see the spirits? We're going to leave it at that. We're going to stop right there because that in itself is a very big thing. After re-watching it to prepare for this episode, I accidentally just kept watching because the show's so good, and I was just going through the whole season, and I watched episode 7 and 8. And when I watched episode 7, I noticed how Uncle Iroh was able to see the spirit, but nobody else was, and then they all thought he was crazy. And so I decided to do a little digging because that's what you do when you have a lot of free time. You look into fictional stuff.
Of course.
And someone posted a theory about how Uncle Iroh tried to go to the spirit world, or did go to the spirit world and returned. And that's why he was able to see the dragon spirit. That's why in the last episode, when they have the princess fuse with the moon spirit to save the moon, he's the one who's able to recognize, like he sees her and he says, oh, you're connected with the spirit world. So there's like a theory that he traveled to the spirit world and he's like ascended that plane, which makes him even more special than he already is, which is why he's one of my favorite characters in the show.
What if he initially only did it to find his son?
You want to hear my theory?
Yes, we'll get closer so the mic can hit.
So I had a theory that Uncle Iroh, after he learned that his son passed away, went on this like spiritual enlightenment journey.
Eat, pray, love.
To heal and find himself again. And in doing so, during his trip, he met the White Lotus and they helped him get through, like his depression, all that sad stuff. And he got to a point where he actually achieved enlightenment. Like he achieved nirvana, and that's why he's able to see the spirits.
Yeah, like on that point, do you think all White Lotus are like that? Like that's a thing? Is that canon? Like White Lotus can see spirits?
No, I think just Uncle Iroh.
No? Oh.
Do they ever disprove it?
Like, it would make sense if that was the non-avatar avatars. Because only the avatars can see the spirit world. But what if that's no?
That whole village saw hei-bai.
That wasn't... Because they said, like, when the sun sets...
He's coming into this world
it's so
now.
Close to the winter solstice and everything, it's easier for them to traverse.
So, after the winter solstice pass... Were they saying that everybody that was kidnapped is completely trapped in the spirit world? Is that why they're freaking out? Or was it once the winter solstice comes, then hei-bai is gonna stay there and that's why they were scared?
I think they were just scared because a giant spirit monster was destroying their village and kidnapping people.
But there is a time frame, which is why Aang said, like, I can't wait that long. Like, I need to get Sokka tonight, is because something was going to happen when the winter solstice came. Like, something with the spirit world.
Or maybe it's so simple enough that, like you said, Handsome Squidward said, or no, was it the Old Wanderer said that the winter solstice is getting closer, and so that's how the spirits are able to come into the world. What if that's exactly it? Like, Uncle Iroh saw Aang and Roku's dragon pass by, because you see in the shot, he's the only one that's, like, able to look around. Like, the soldiers have to pay attention and look forward.
Oh god, that's a sad one. Like, there's no enlightened Iroh that can see spirits. He was just the one that looked up and saw it while it passed by during the solstice. You don't want to say
No, because then why was he the only one who was able to recognize that Princess Yue was connected with the moon spirit?
Yeah.
Everyone was around her and the moon spirit, so if there was a clear bond or anything, like, he needed to have ascended to the spirit world to have the connection with the spirit world so that he could recognize her connection.
Yeah, so with that, I think I do change my mind. I think he is enlightened. Like, my reasoning is, what was the whole point of Katara not being able to see Aang and Appa not being able to see Aang, but then Iroh could see Aang and the dragon? What was that whole scene then? I think all that led up, unless it was a red herring, but this is a Nickelodeon show. I don't think they would throw red herrings at children. And then Marilyn, yes, my dear.
That is a good point, but I want to disagree with Brian. I agree with you, but I want to disagree with Brian. Because maybe, although I am the one that brought up that.
Are you debating yourself, Marilyn?
Even though that is my theory, when Commander Zhao killed, is it the yin or the yang? Which one? Which fish did he kill?
Yang.
Yeah.
Did you say yang?
Yang.
Yeah, so the whole world went gray, and then Yue's eyes are the only ones that are glowing, that are blue. I'm pretty sure everyone looked at her like, why are your eyes glowing? Oh, you must be connected. And then Iroh put 2 and 2 together. Maybe that's why. I don't know.
I need to rewatch it before I can come back
I know.
with facts.
That's some. Yeah, we need to rewatch that one. I wanted to bring up, I really thought it was pretty cool how when you saw Aang crash down in the woods and he wakes up, since it was nighttime, his shade was blue and everything around him was blue. So there was a scene where he was walking back to Katara and you just think that he's in the shadows still and he's blue because he's in the shadows. And then you come to the realization, like, he puts his hand to the sun and he's transparent. And that's when you figure out he's in the spirit world, or that's when he figures out. Mm-hmm. But it was cool that he was always in the spirit world ever since
he woke up.
He crashed, but you couldn't tell.
Getting back to Marilyn's point. Also, how does that work? He just steamed his shackles with his breath? How does that work? All of a sudden, Uncle Iroh is an airbender. All of a sudden. Huh.
Hot breath.
How do they bend their tea?
I think they cup it and warm up. This is like way into... Actually, it's the second to last episode of season 1. But I remember, wasn't Zuko trapped underwater? Mm-hmm. And he uses his firebending to get out from under the ice. Mm-hmm. But he was underwater. Mm-hmm. And wasn't it Joanna that said that firebenders can't bend underwater like airbenders? Cheater.
Also, Marilyn also wants to bring up the Roku TV's dragon can just control his whiskers, like he has full control over that. He can just be like...
Did that remind you guys of Avatar? Like, Aang was blue.
Stop. No.
And they used whiskers to connect.
Stop. I'm shutting this whole podcast down.
And it's been a good 6 episodes.
All right, and we're done.
Marilyn also wanted to bring up how that fire temple room with Roku is so cool. It reminds her of the Wind Waker game with like the eye-looking thing that opens and closes whenever light goes through. Mm-hmm. Or just any Legend of Zelda puzzle where they use the sun and the mirror shields.
I swear it could be read like this. I'm sorry, Marilyn. I love you. This is Marilyn, age 10. That fire temple room with Roku is so cool. It reminds me of the Wind Waker game with like the eye-looking thing that opens and closes whenever light goes through. Thanks, Marilyn.
I just also wanted to bring up how Katara is kind of in denial. Saying like, oh yeah, they'll come back. Like, I mean, there's like false hope. She's just trying to convince them. Also, when she was kind of sitting out there, air quote, Appa comforts her. He kind of just leans over and breathes on her.
Dude, that's Appa. That's enough.
I know, but still.
Yeah, but it wasn't him comforting her.
Like, I was just like, or was he trying to get her attention? Be like, hey, is he coming back?
Yeah, like it looked like Katara was, when nobody can see her, she was like letting her emotions out. Mm-hmm. That she was very sad and depressed. And then when she sees Appa come, she like... switches to like mom or like this big sister mode. Mm-hmm. Where she holds it in, she hides her true emotions, and she's what people expect her to be, is this glimmer of hope for everything. Good point.
I like that.
I feel like every episode we show like all of the good that Katara did in this. Like, this should be Katara, the last waterbender of Southern Water Tribe.
Well, she was supposed to be the next Avatar. Did you guys read that theory? If Aang lived his full life and passed away, Katara was supposed to be the next Avatar. You didn't know that?
Oh my god.
That's why, because you realize how the next Avatar is a Water Tribe member? The theory is that Aang was supposed to live his full life and then pass away, and then Katara was supposed to be the next Avatar.
And the best thing is we would never have to watch Korra. Korra would have never happened.
Yeah.
Wow. Like,
did you really not know that?
Aang is sleeping with himself.
You really didn't know that? Oh my goodness. You call yourself a fan. And now, a quick pause for a special segment. What? You've never seen Avatar: The Last Airbender? Or WYNSA?
Take it away, Andrew.
My name is Andrew Weiler, and I have not seen Avatar ever.
How? Why?
I don't know. I feel like I've seen it all around me and know a lot of people who watch it. And I guess my only real first exposure to it was seeing the movie advertisements and thinking, gosh, this doesn't look like a good movie.
It wasn't.
So that was kind of like my real first exposure. Maybe it was the cartoon, but I don't remember how old I was when I first saw it, maybe in the last 5 years or whatever. And I don't know how new it was, but I felt like I wasn't in the stage of life where I was watching too many cartoon shows, even like Family Guy or Simpsons or anything like with adult humor. So it just didn't appeal to me from a content or subject matter point of view. Not to say, and I can't judge it because I haven't seen it. So you know what I mean? That's kind of the position I'm in. So.
What's your relationship with animation?
Well, I guess I'd have to go back to when I was a kid, like definitely watching the classic old Disney films like, Bambi and Sleeping Beauty, and then of course like Toy Story, that kind of animation. As I got a little bit older, started getting into The Simpsons was like the only thing that my mom ever let me watch. But then that was like the same time that I would wake up early on like a Saturday morning and watch the new episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! Or like Pokemon. Like I was all into that through middle school and into high school, mainly Family Guy, because that was just kind of like a popular thing to watch. Then after high school into college, I kind of dropped off the animation radar. Yeah, so that's kind of my relationship to animation.
So you don't remember anything at all about Avatar: The Last Airbender?
I had never even knew it existed until I was like an adult.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I don't think I was even aware of it until like I said, the last 5 years.
So you're an Avatar virgin. This is so exciting. For those of you that are listening, Andrew and I went to film school together, and so this is going to be really fun because he's going to approach it with a filmmaker's perspective on a kid show. So this is going to be great.
It's going to be really deep analysis. I'm going to be looking at the representation of gender and race, socioeconomics, all that shit that I learned in film school. You got to put that degree to work, I guess.
Do you have any expectations going into this?
You know what I would like to do is like ask people who I know, which I have to figure out who I know, who's seen the show, and ask them like what I should look for. You know what I mean? I think going into it without any sort of like lens, so to speak, for me would be overwhelming. But if someone were to say, hey, Andrew, if you're going to watch this show, like go into the show with looking specifically at the soundtrack. It could be the color, it could be the composition, it could be pacing, whatever it is, and come back with feedback about those things that either someone said was really good or really bad, and then I can have, that's like a good criteria for me to kind of watch the show with. That would be my plan. Am I the first person you've talked to who hasn't seen the show, or?
Yeah. Well, I have a friend that doesn't really remember too much of the show, but she has seen a couple episodes as a kid. It's not the same because she generally knows what the show is about, but you're the purest person I know that is like completely oblivious to the show, so this is going to be really fun.
Gosh, I feel like an outcast.
No, not at all. This is great. If you don't mind, can you tell the listeners how old you are?
I am 26 years old.
And yeah, Andrew and I are the same age. So for TV shows in general, at the top of your head, what are the main components that you think makes a good TV show?
In general?
Yeah, in general.
Man, I feel like what I would say is kind of what most people would say, but maybe not. So when I watch a pilot, for instance, and I'm going to refer to probably Breaking Bad because that's my best example of one of the best TV shows that I've ever seen. It influences me in a lot of the storytelling that I do in my own work. So I'd say stakes are high early on. There is a moment of revelation that kind of drives the whole narrative. That comes from either a specific character or a group of characters. So like Walter White, for instance, has this revelation of he's going to make this change in his life. So it's having that kind of high stakes, dramatic change, and it gives us the sense of this long overarching journey that we're about to be taken on. You know, kind of think about the first episode of Lost. Like, they kind of throw you into this journey, whereas Walter White kind of like decides to go on this journey. So, you know, there's a lot of elements there, but, you know, strong characters obviously help you as an audience member be led into the journey. You got to be invested in the characters. There has to be a lot at stake. The character has to be complex, yet relatable in a matter of at least the first episode. And those are the things that come to mind right off the bat.
Nice. And can you say those are the same standards for animation shows too?
Yeah, I would imagine those elements would definitely be the same. They would definitely need to hook you, get you invested early on, just like any other TV show, live action, anything.
Okay. I just ordered a Beyond Bending notebook prototype, so it should be coming in the mail soon. And then when I get that, I'm going to go ahead and send it over to you, so you have your own Beyond Bending notebook where you can take notes.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Yes, I'm very serious about this, Andrew. I'm going to pick your brain.
I use notebooks all the time. I mean, I'm going to fill that thing up.
Yeah, when you're watching each episode, go ahead and, like, you don't have to take extensive notes because each episode is probably like 20 minutes. And so it goes by pretty fast. You can pretty much binge like 4 or 5 episodes in like an hour. If you have any questions, write them down, and it'll be fun to see if these questions get answered later or if like something caught you off guard that you never saw coming and things like that. And like your general impressions of like all the characters too.
So let me ask you this. You know how you said, so what is my approach going into this? And I said, well, I would ask experts to give me things to look at. How do you think I should watch the show? What are some key aspects that you think make the show unique from any other show?
Ooh, I guess all of the film categories. So like camera work, cinematography, acting, screenwriting, sound design.
Shit, everything.
Yeah, just everything. I can tell you my personal experience is that the show is strong in all these categories. Try not to hype it for you, but there is a reason why the fan base is so big for this show. So
right.
It's going to be interesting for you to see or notice what's strong in all these categories and what you like or don't like about them. And be honest too, like if you do find yourself not really enjoying it as much as you hope, just let us know. This is your experience that we're going to be tracking, and so honesty is key. But I'm also really excited to see you go on this journey because you are an Avatar virgin, and this is insane.
Yeah, it is. Like I'm a little intimidated. I'm all scared. Like this is more than I thought was gonna happen. No, it's fine. I got this. I like discovering new shows. I'm pretty open to any show. Like, I'm not saying the show is bad, but even if it was bad, like, I would still watch it because, you know, the fact that we're having just a dialogue about something, about media, is like, that's my thing. You know, that's our thing. That's what we do. It's what we went to school for.
Yeah.
It's like that part of the brain. You learn from things that you enjoy watching, and you learn from things that you don't enjoy watching. So I think regardless, it's going to be a very productive experience for me, and hopefully for you and your audience. I mean, I don't know what an Airbender virgin can give to a community of Airbender experts, but I'll contribute if I can.
How much can I bother you? Because my initial thoughts going in is I'm going to interview you before you start the show, interview you in the middle of season 1, after season 1, and then middle of season 2, after season 2, and so on and so forth. And there's only 3 seasons, so the show is pretty short.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's crazy how much they pack in 3 seasons. Is that fine for you if I bother you that much?
Yeah, that sounds fine to me.
Sweet.
I have to talk to my agent, though.
Oh gosh.
There's a lot of red tape. I'm well, you know, I'm very wanted in the podcast circuit. But you're a friend, so I'll make an exception. I'll lower my rate just for you.
You're too busy making documentaries in Chicago.
Exactly. I'm in high demand. High demand over here. No, but that's totally fine.
It's kind of like an extreme version of Millennials React, or that one YouTube channel, but instead it's like Beyond Bending version of our segment, What? You've never seen Avatar? So this is going to be fun. Or WYNSA for short.
That's all. Oh, that's great. I love that.
You have quite a bit until I hit you up again to check up on you for the middle of season 1.
Okay.
And I still gotta send you the notebook, so...
Should I wait until I get the notebook? Because I can take notes on my own notebook.
No, you gotta wait. It's gotta feel,
Yeah.
like, very professional.
Right. For sure. All right.
But yeah, thank you, Andrew, for being on this segment. It really means a lot to me and our listeners, and we'll listen to your journey, and it'll be awesome and cool and exciting and all of the good stuff. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for bringing me on this journey. I feel like this is the start of a TV series. You remember, like I said, like all these characters, high stakes, right? This character's being thrown into this new world, and it's basically the beginning of the first episode or something.
The only thing I'll say is you are in for a treat and a roller coaster. So good luck. Have fun. If you have any questions or if you like can't wait to say something, like go ahead and text me and be like, oh my god, I can't believe blah 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 happened, and then I'll go ahead and maybe like mention it in like one of the podcast episodes, like Andrew started freaking out when blah 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 happened.
I love it. All right, I'll give you in the moment reactions. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it. Anything else you want to add before we end this segment?
No, I mean, I guess this is the start of a new journey for me, and I'll come out on the other side a new person. So looking forward to some transformation.
I don't know how to end this segment. Every time I bring a guest on, I ask them what their favorite catchphrase from the show is. So mine is Flamio Hotman. It's kind of like a hello, goodbye kind of saying. So a little bit of spoiler, but not too much. I'm going to go ahead and say it to you. So Flamio Hotman.
Same to you.
All right, I'll check back with you in a couple of episodes.
I will see you in half of season 1.
Very interesting stuff.
I would say myself.
Take it away, EJ.
Back to Aang riding on Roku's dragon. The dragon full-on flies into the bear statue we saw before in the forest scar area, and we see that Aang's physical body was sitting on top of the bear's head the whole time. Aang flies off the statue, and we get a first-person view of the statue. Aang heads back to the village. It's almost sunset, and Katara hugs Aang. She asks where Sokka is, and Aang says he's not sure.
We cut to the Earthbenders laying out Uncle Iroh's hand on a boulder. They tell us that Iroh's hands must be crushed, and right as they deliver the final blow, Zuko kicks the rock away. Uncle Iroh compliments Zuko on his form, and Zuko says he learned from the best. The Earthbender captain tells them to surrender because they're outnumbered. Uncle Iroh responds by saying they are clearly outmatched.
And then that pose. Rule 34.
That's gross.
The Earthbenders attack simultaneously. Uncle Iroh smashes the rocks with his chains, and Prince Zuko firebends and knocks down 2 of the guards. One of the guards hurls a huge boulder at Prince Zuko, but Uncle Iroh catches it with the chains and swings it at 2 of the Earthbenders. Zuko fire punches at the captain, but he blocks it with his hat.
He Falco punches, but then the captain holds down B as a counter.
Okay.
He like headbutt.
He then charges up and lifts up tons of earth, but Uncle Iroh whips the captain's ankles with his chains, yanks him, and causes him to fall on his face. The earth collapses on him, and Prince Zuko and Uncle Iroh stand over him victorious. Prince Zuko turns to Uncle Iroh and says, "Now can you please put on some clothes?"
And we cut back to the village. Hei-bai pops out of nowhere like it's an alien movie, throwing building debris at Aang, but Aang deflects it by airbending an air bubble. Hei-bai starts heading towards the villagers, but Aang hops over it and touches its forehead. We see a silhouette of a panda beneath the monster's exterior.
"You're the spirit of this forest," Aang says. He tells Hei-bai that he understands now why he's upset and angry. Aang tells Hei-bai that even though their home was burned down, one day it will grow back. Aang pulls out an acorn and places it on the ground. Hei-bai picks it up and starts walking away, and we see Hei-bai's spirit turn back into a panda. All of a sudden, bamboo starts growing out of nowhere, and the missing villagers and Sokka come out of it. Katara runs to hug Sokka. She tells them that he was trapped in the spirit world for 24 hours, and Sokka's like, "Yep, that sounds about right," as he runs away to use the bathroom.
Handsome Squidward, the leader of the village, thanks Aang for saving them and says, if only there was a way to repay you for what you've done. And Sokka's like, you can give us money and some supplies. Katara shoves Sokka, but the villagers agree. Katara says she's proud of Aang, and Aang tells the gang how he found a way to contact Roku. But there's a catch. There's a temple on an island, and they have to get there by tomorrow. And it's in the Fire Nation. Oh, I forgot to bring up, I wanted to ask, how close are they to Ba Sing Se and also the Fire Nation? Like, I get they were in the spirit world. That might explain how quickly Aang got to the Fire Nation. But where are they on this journey? How small is this planet? Is it a planet? Is the planet flat? Is our planet flat? Like, what's going on?
No, it's not flat.
Then they need to buy like a huge Avatar poster because they made one and they even drew lines of like where they start out and where they go.
And you can like...
Do they have one of those episodes like Supernatural where
nobody watches Supernatural? No one's gonna understand your reference.
There was I know somebody.
I would watch Doctor Who before Supernatural.
There's a Supernatural episode where it's just them inside the car, and the joke was you never got to see what happened in between scenes because they always end up in the car driving away and start in the car on the next episode. So there's a whole episode where that was it. Is there an episode in here where you just see what they're doing in between flying on Appa?
The only one I could think of is when Azula is like hunting them down and they fly the whole time, but Appa ends up falling asleep.
What is it called? Bottle
episode?
I also wanted to bring up that I've noticed the best earthbenders don't wear shoes. Does Haru wear shoes?
Haru wore shoes.
Haru fucking sucked.
But he was an earthbender in hiding.
Ooh, so it's like, oh, he can't be an earthbender. He has shoes. Did Katara take off her shoes? That's why they didn't see the blue clothes. They just noticed she wasn't wearing shoes.
That episode stresses me out. So I noticed that Zuko chose his uncle over his personal gain. That shows how much respect he has for him.
Finally.
And how much he cares about him. And Marilyn also put down 10-year-old Marilyn from Southern California. Oh my god, Prince Zuko and Uncle Iroh are so cute. Every episode, their relationship gets stronger. It's just so amazing to watch.
And Marilyn also wanted to bring up, OMG, the scene where Uncle Iroh's like, you are clearly outmatched. And then that pose. Dude, that was like the sexiest pose. Dad bod to Jason Momoa after prison.
So one thing I noticed in the fight, at no point is Uncle Iroh firebend. He only uses the chains in the fight while Zuko's firebending.
Because they excite him.
Where Zuko's...
Shout out Rihanna.
God damn it. Where Zuko's fighting, it seemed weird, but at the same time it shows like how good of a fighter he is.
Yeah, they wanted a fair fight because they knew deep down if they used firebending,
he would have just destroyed them.
It wouldn't have been a fair fight.
It would have been 5 dead bodies, and they have no earthbender to dig their graves.
Oh man. You kill 4 of them. You have the 5th one. Bury those bodies, and then he has to
dig his own grave.
Or do you get another earthbender to bury that, and then you just keep like a never-ending earthbender?
This got really dark. Are we Marvel Netflix right now?
I mean, it's like the mailman theory in SpongeBob. Like, who delivers the mailman's mail? Are there an endless chain of mailmen delivering mailmen's mail?
I have a quick question.
Yes.
What does SpongeBob have to do with that?
What?
Did you just want to plug SpongeBob in?
Dude, I am so
Are you mad?
I am so mad of the halftime show,
Do you
man.
want to talk about how Sweet Victory didn't happen?
I fucking don't, actually, because that's a whole new podcast.
If Marilyn was here, she'd be like, no football. Anyways, really? You're not gonna bring anything up? Hei-bai?
What?
Tefiti?
Cloverfield.
Hei-bai is Taka.
He's Taka, yeah.
The acorn is the heart of Tefiti.
You're right.
This episode is Moana.
He also went into the
monster world.
Monster world, yeah.
Mm-hmm. We're looking at you, Disney. We're looking at you. Oh, one more thing Marilyn wanted to point out. I need to stress that this is in all caps. How did that earthbender block a fire punch blow with his hat? By using his stance?
Question mark, question mark, question mark.
I mean, if he had a solid
Good
core.
question, Marilyn.
I mean, if you had a solid core like that Earthbender did, I think your stance is enough.
Yeah.
We do not have solid cores like that Earthbender.
Dude, horse stances though, like, Earthbenders know what's up. I mean, yeah, it's Captain America's shield on top of his head. But I'm telling you, it was just it was like perfect frame. Like he downbeat counter on that Falco punch.
One other thing, where the hell was Momo?
Doing Momo shit.
Momo was
chilling in the spirit world.
Anytime Katara was with Appa, Momo was nowhere to be found. And then when Aang comes back, Momo magically shows up.
He's the spirit.
He's the Maino.
He was trying to find Aang this whole time.
He was looking for Aang in the spirit world.
What's that spirit? You know what I'm talking about, right? Like
what spirit?
The very first Avatar had a lemur spirit.
Oh, I don't know.
And once again, Katara saves the day. So Aang's like, hei-bai, my friend realized that there's acorns everywhere. So soon the acorns will grow the force again and the force will be back to normal. And then hei-bai's like, that's chill. And just walks away and then fucking bamboos out of nowhere. Now, you know what that reminds me of? I don't know if you watched the episode of Pokemon, but there was a town whose vegetation kept being destroyed by a hungry Snorlax that kept swimming to different islands, eating all the vegetation, and they were freaking out. I forgot what it was, like, what Snorlax did. I don't think it was his poop. But, like, something that Snorlax did after he ate it, it made the crops grow again. And the villagers were, like, satisfied. It's sort of like this, except backwards.
I mean, I'm going to say Tafiti again, because he starts walking away and bamboo starts appearing. Yeah. Like, Tafiti just, like, waves her arm, and then all these islands and trees grow back and everything.
Tafiti. Shout out to Auli'i Cravallo, man.
I wonder how far Aang will go.
Aang's gonna go to the Fire Nation.
Yeah.
I like how it was worded. It's like...
to the Fire Nation.
I got good news.
Hey, so good news. I can contact the Avatar.
Bad news. No, the bad news was, but we have to do it tomorrow. And they're like, oh, time crunch? And...
No, not done yet. Also, it's in an island in the Fire Nation.
Bam, bam. I'm excited for part 2. This was all set up for part 2, for sure.
Yeah, but even in this episode that was just supposed to set up part 2, it had a lot in itself. So much stuff was explained in this episode, like how the existence of the spirit world. This episode introduces a whole nother world. It's kind of like how in the Marvel movies they like introduce so much while still doing Age of Ultron.
Trash movie.
Yeah, but that's because they were trying to set up so much. Yeah, I respect what they were doing, you know?
Marvel is like the post-prison.
Phase 3 Marvel is like post-prison Uncle Iroh.
Dude,
Phase 1
erotic undertones.
I bet you like meat.
I bet you like meat.
So they like introduced the spirit world and his way to connect with the previous avatars, but also just his connection with the spirit world that he has because he's the avatar.
Yeah, like that was actually pretty alarming. Is the whole thing about being the avatar is to be the bridge.
Yeah, that was kind of news, and we're just like, oh crap, like that's a huge burden. On top of being able to keep peace in the real world, you are the bridge to the spirit world.
And then this 12-year-old kid, give or take 100 years, has to not only master 3 other elements, but also master the spirit world and his chakras and everything like that. This 12-year-old kid has to do this to defeat the Fire Lord.
Maybe if he didn't run away and get trapped in an iceberg, he would have had...
his family would live.
They would have held his hand a little more and it would have been easier for him to do. I'm not bitter or anything, but Aang, you fucked up.
Yeah, bro. Good job.
So yeah, this episode did a really good job just kind of setting up the rest of the show while still setting up the next episode. Showing us there's a whole nother world out there that we haven't even seen yet. Yeah.
And we finally get to see Roku.
We finally get to see a live action Roku because we've just seen statue Roku.
Well, I mean, Marilyn usually wraps this up with you have this camera, and that camera.
So this has been the Stolen Episode by Eddy and Brian.
Boom.
Thank you for having us. Yeah, it's been such good conversation. Bro, it's been so natural.
Dude, supernatural. We need to do this again.
Stop. Do not say supernatural.
What? Did you say supernatural? Supernatural? Who said Supernatural? Season 15, dude. Season 15. We're going strong. Me and all of the other women out there that watch Supernatural, we're going strong.
This episode kind of ends with so much suspense, so it's kind of a weird note to end on, but we just gotta hope that the gang will be safe in their journey to the Fire Nation.
Is my song gonna be the outro from now on, Marilyn?
Yes, I like it.
No.
I like it.
Dude, I have to keep listening to my voice.
As I cut to it right
Nope.
now.
That's a wrap.
When you're flying in the sky on a bison way up high, with your friends around you and a little llama too, on a journey across the sea, we'll be soaring peacefully, drinking cactus juice all day.